Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. In AngularJS playlist, last time we have seen a couple of videos or creating a new application, then setting up with a Git and then a project structure. So we have covered the project structure on high level. So project structure was having a different type of files. One is workspace configuration files, then application configuration files. If there are multiple projects, then multiple project specific configuration and then library files. So as discussed in project structure session that we are gonna uh, go through the each configurations files in detail. So today we are covering with the workspace configuration files. So workspace configuration files are common for the entire workspace despite of how many applications or libraries are there. So in workspace configuration files, there are mainly editor config file. There is a kind of readme.md file, then package.json file, then package-log.json file is there, then ts config JSON file, ts lint config files, angular.json file, and source and node modules are two folders present there. So this is the list of file that we are gonna see into the practically into the Visual Studio Code. So this is the workspace I had created. So in this workspace, there are you can see that my workspace is got created, and inside that there are projects, node modules folder, and these are the config related file. So first we'll be going through the editor config file. So this file is for the editors uh, related configuration. So this project can be handled by the multiple editors. Right now we are using as a Visual Studio Code. Then there might be editor related to the IntelliJ, Notepad Plus, whatever it is. So this editor config file is defining some of the configuration that every project, every editor can follow, and this based onto this text editor config file, it is easy to read and work efficiently with it. So every editor can follow this file and work accordingly, so there won't be any conflicts while editing this project into the different editors. So this is the site editorconfig.org. You can refer that. It is having a lot many examples here how it can be done. So if you go to the here our editor config file, it is mentioning that what char set needs to be used by every editor. It is UTF-8, what would be NDH style. So it is just a guideline for the editor to follow. So this is the editor config file. You can get more details on this website editorconfig.org. So these are the standards for getting followed across all the editors. The next file is the git ignore file. So if you see here inside this project, if you want to exclude some of the things which you did not want to commit into the git, then you can ignore here. For example, here you can see the node modules folder. It would be just created when you want to do the development, but it cannot be uh, kind of added into your git repository while committing. So here you can see that I have added this repository. If you go to the my app, you won't be able to see the node modules when the commit is happening. So this file git ignore file is to ignore a lot of files which are specific to the project or specific to the editors like .idea, .project, .class path. So all these files get excluded while committing a changes into the git. Next file angular .json file. So this is the common file for all the projects which are present into the workspace. So it would be having the configurations related to the app, like what are the schematics it is using, what would be the version of this file, project names, what are the different projects are present inside this workspace, and each project would be having the different configurations according to it. But this file is mainly covering the tools which are getting used by CLI, for example, build, test, serve, E2E. So all the configuration related to this are present into this file under this architect. So you can see this build, then after build there would be serve, test, all are there like lint. So we do ng lint. So there is a second app. For that app again there are configurations. So if you have the multiple app, for all apps these configurations would be there. And if there are any libraries, like here I'm having the project inside the libraries, so my lab, here is the my lab. Then if I go little bit up, it will be having the configuration related to the second app and the configuration related to the first app. Okay, and some of the common configuration like version schema and what are the schematics getting used here in this project. So this is the common file getting used across all the projects. So this is the angular.json. Next, go to the package.json. So package.json would be having the name of your workspace, then what is the version of this workspace, then what are the scripts, means command you are going to use with ng that are there. Then repository dependencies are there, whether this repository is private or not. These are the dependencies and these are the dev dependencies. So we'll cover this each and every file in detail in next sessions. So I will go through each and every file in detail, so you'll get all the details. So package.json is nothing but maintaining all the dependencies for your project. Then next file is the package-log.json. This provides the version information for all the packages installed into node modules by the npm client. So if you are using the npm client, this would be the kind of file like package-log.json. If you are using a yarn client, it would be yarn.log file would be present. So whatever the node modules we are having here, the most of the details related to them would be like, for example, angular dev kit, right, hyphen architect. So all these details would be there, like version 0.80326. So if you see these details, so all these details are there, which are downloaded it into the node hyphen modules, node underscore modules folder. Then would be getting into the readme.md file. Okay, so if I go to this readme.md file on this, if you see that on GitHub, it is showing you the very elegant UI, that how you can use your project development server, code scaffolding, build, running unit test, how you can run. So you can mention all these things here. There are, if you want to build a readme.md file, then you can go through the readme tutorial, uh, readme tutorial. Okay, so there are lot many standards are there on readme, so you can go through that, go through tutorial, and you can build a efficient readme file. This is nothing but the documentation around your project, like confluence pages, how you can build your project, like build, running, unit test. So this is how it can be built. And if you want to see its raw file would be seen as it. So there are some standards which needs to be followed, so you can build that elegant UI there. Then tsconfig.json. So here in Angular, if you see that you are using the TypeScript. Earlier they were coding into the JavaScript, but here we are using a tsconfig file. It is having all the details related to the TypeScript configuration, that how it would be uh, converting a TypeScript into the JavaScript. So all the configurations related details are mentioned here. What is the distribution should be created, and then in my library, what are the files should be created. All these details are mentioned here. For more details on TypeScript configuration, you can go to the TypeScript lang.org, and there you can get the type tsconfig details efficiently, how it would be TypeScript configuration tutorial. Even if you can type uh, on Google, you can get a lot of things around this TypeScript configuration tutorial, and then you can build your config, or you can change your configuration if you want. The next is a tslint file. So this is nothing but the file which will define the guidelines for the TypeScript. If you go here, so it is kind of static analysis tool which would be used to increase the readability and printability of your TypeScript files. So it is, if you see that this TSLint is widely supported across many editors and build system. So this is help to build your project with TypeScript guidelines, and you can put all these guidelines here, and how to build it. What are the kind of rules or guidelines are there? You can put it here. How the file should look, and there are lot many. Uh, tutorials and examples are present here, or you can use the different rules here if you see, or if you can use a formatters like check style, all our formatters are there that you can use to verify your code. And if you can see that if I've used a no foreign, then it can ban for the usage of foreign, no empty interface, so it will uh, means avoid, means it will, when you use nglint, it will give you the errors if you are not following the standards for the TypeScript. So these are lot many rules are there, so that needs to be followed. Okay, fine. So this is on a TS lint. So there are two more things. One is a source folder and one is a node modules. So node modules is the folder where all the dependencies get downloaded by using the npm command. So npm manager. And then the next one is a source file. So if I go to the my app, you can see that there is a source folder created. Here in my workspace I have created different app, so it is fine. But if I create a single app directly, it will create a source folder. Inside that it will have the all the all the code base related to that workspace. So these are the all the files related to the workspace configuration. So I'm just reiterating, we have got a editor config that is mostly for the editors to follow the guidelines or the standards. Git ignore, it is for the GitHub or Git client to decide which file needs to be committed, which are not. README is for just a documentation related to your app. So you can write elegant documentation that how to build it, how to use it. Then angular.json is a default file across all the workspace, which is catering to the different CLI commands like ng-test, ng-build. What needs to be done when somebody fire the ng-build, that is into present into this file. Then package.json, which is maintaining the dependencies. Package hyphen log.json, it would be maintaining the details of the dependencies which are downloaded under node underscore module. If you are using a yarn, it would be yarn hyphen log file. The next one is source folder. Source folder is having the source related to the workspace. The node modules. Node modules is nothing but another folder. It is having the details about the dependencies which get downloaded, which is present on package.json. It would also down a hierarchical dependencies. Suppose in Angular JSON, I have used Angular core, but if Angular core is again needing the 10 dependencies, it's for himself, then it will download that 10 as well and put it into the node modules. The ts config, so ts config.json is nothing but the TypeScript configuration, because you are coding in TypeScript. At the end it needs to be converted into the JavaScript, so all the rules related to the TypeScript configuration can be put in here. Then TS-lint is nothing but a static analyzer, mostly adopted by most of the build tools or the editors, and it will help to use the maintainability and readability of your code. So I have shown the examples. If you don't want to use a foreign loop, then you can mention no foreign, and if somebody used it and it run nglint, it will throw error onto the terminal. So this is onto the workspace configuration files. In next session we'll be going through the in detail with each and every file, so you will get more details on that and more insight would be available to you. So thank you so much for your time for listening this. Do subscribe to my channel for getting more updates onto the upcoming videos on this AngularJS. So thank you so much for your time and thanks for your patience.